Hi guys, welcome to the second installment in our series of videos about moving to GitHub for our CI. So on the previous video let's think, what did we do in the previous video? We managed to get the local build to work, and we removed a whole load of emblems here that we're no longer resolving anymore. I see we still have one problem, which is the documentation. Let's just resolve that very quickly. I'll just open up the README file. Let's make sure we're recording. I'll just open up the README file and look for documentation. Let's have a quick look at the emblem. Actually, this is a local emblem, so not clear why not resolving, to be honest. Let's have a look at GitHub. That's very interesting. So GitLab, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to like resolving the emblem in GitHub. Now, there's clearly no problem with the badge itself. But GitLab does not resolve it. I'm not quite sure why that would be. Perhaps we can ignore that for now, because GitLab is really our second source, more of our backup really. So now I think most of our badges are working. Perhaps we could get rid of code quality as well, because I don't know what's going on here with Codacity, and it's probably best to just get rid of it for now. We can always reactivate it if required. So ideally, at this point in time, all the badges should now be working. As you can see, we removed Travis, because Travis no longer works, so that's gone. Okay, so what we're going to try to do in the next hour is we're going to try, let me just commit this before I forget, readme batch. And what we're going to try to do now is we're going to try to get a local build with vcpkg. So let's clock here. We start around 11 past. So we've, whilst we were not recording, we've updated our local version of vcpkg, this guy here. We've updated it to latest, so fairly recent, 2 days ago. And we also did, let's just jump over to the vcpkg area. We also did a build, as you can see here, picks up latest boost 176. I think we're just one off the latest, which is 177. So that looks good. I think if we look at installs, include boosts, I just have a quick conversion at HPP. As you can see, this is the right version, so that looks fine. However, when we attempt to compile Dogen using this version, we run into problems. So this is what we're trying to troubleshoot before we start the recording. So this first error is expected. This is just a very recent version of Boost, and because CMake has not been updated to cater for it, we get all these warnings. So we'll just have to live with that for now. More importantly is this. libxml seems to fail. Let's just double check that on our vcpkg install. We definitely put libxml there. And let's just double check that. Well, I guess the first thing to check is that libxml installed correctly. It seems perfectly fine, no problems there. So what is the error then? See if you can open up the file. Target include directories, libxml2 interface, vcpkg installed. To be absolutely honest, I can't really say I see a lot of problems with this, but for a laugh, let's just output what this things is referring to, and hope that that looks like a sensible direction really. Very sensible, in fact. And there's interesting. Notice that we have libxml, libxml2. Right, that is strange, isn't it? Why would we have two libxmls? Did we just make a mistake when we installed, and instead of installing libxml, I don't even think that anyone is using libxml1 really. So yeah, we did call libxml2. Let's go back to, should really create some aliases, but we'll be on for later. So MASD. So as you can see here, libxml2 is installed and looks fine. And this guy here thinks it's referring to some include directory. Seems to me there's a bug in libxml2 wrapper. So what you do in these sort of situations is you just have a quick look at what this thing should be doing. And the best thing to do is to just jump back to the ports directory. So vcpkg sometimes misbehaves. So as you can see here, there is only libxml2, no libxml. So that's very puzzling, but nevertheless, let's look at the ports here. Have a quick look at the story here and see what work has been done recently. So you see there's September the 2nd. Now that's fairly recent, 26th of this month. And you can see they were touching this code very recently. What change did they make? So target link libraries was changed to a set property. That's fine. So what we really want to see is on this file anything around if target. Yeah, to be fair, I think I understand what this means, and I think it makes sense. What this is saying is that the target include directories is going to be set to our include directory inside of our vcpkg shroot. So that sounds very sensible, actually. Now, now that we understand what we're trying to do, let's just go back again to that compilation error and see if we understand what this is saying. Targets include directories called with non-compilable target type. So now what we can do is, let's just go back to Google here and see. So target include directories, there we are. Name of the library, interface, and then a path. Unknown imported targets cannot have priorities. Okay, so let's just see if we are an unknown imported target. This could just be that the version of CMake that we're using is not compatible. Well, I can't see the word unknown anywhere here. So let's just very quickly, this is going to be a bit complicated, so let's just have a quick look. So we're in CMake 3.18. Before anything else, let's just say it's the latest release of CMake. So if we are very far away from latest CMake, it's probably worthwhile just upgrading, because okay, right, so we are quite far. Okay, just for a laugh, let's just see what happens if we run latest CMake. So we'll just grab I'm not a big fan of these installers that come in as a shell script. Tarball seems a bit more reasonable. Right, so what we're going to do is, I believe we have a local directory here. Doesn't have much stuff in there, so I think we should just install CMake locally, and this will give us an idea whether this is just some new feature in CMake. This also resolves the other problem with boost as well, so I think that's a good thing. So let's just extract this to our local shroot. This directory is just used for this kind of thing. We don't install many things there. Just a couple of dev tools. Okay, that was not a success. Oh, okay, so it seems like we created a top level folder, that's fine. It's probably wise, to be fair. Right, there's a CMake. So if I just say CMake let's manage version, we've clearly done this before. So let's just make sure that we don't get confused and delete the older version of CMake, and then do exactly what it just did, but for the right version. So every so often, CMake just develops some new feature, and since Debian stable OS takes its time to Debian testing even to give us latest and greatest, sometimes we just need to install from the packages. When that's the case, then we just install locally for a little bit until Debian catches up. So this is fine. So all we need to do here now is to say, so we are calling CMake from our build script. Yeah, so let's just update here this to the path to CMake really, which is this guy here. Yeah, as you can see, this is exactly what happened last time, presumably because we are doing all this hackery here with the path. Right, so and you can see, magic, lo and behold, everything just works out of the box. So now let's just double check that we got the right things. So for example, do we have a boost version here? Yeah, so we have boost 176. Okay, so the other thing we're going to do as well while this builds, so that solved the problem at hand. So while this builds, I don't know why we lost our little... Right, so while this builds, what we're going to do is we're going to bump the version of boost up as well. Now, of course, it's not necessarily the case that we need latest and greatest boost, really. but because we are testing with one version of Boost, I don't really want to test with one version and then tell people to use another. So if we're testing with 1.7.6, which is now the version, we should just declare 1.7.6 to be the required version, and then people can change the Boost version if they want to. So we're still saying that 161 is alright, but at least we're declaring up front that we think you should be using 1.7.6. That's just so that people know that we are using 1.7.6, and they can use another version at their own peril. So let's just say bump up Boost version to 1.7.6. And so that's all good. Now we removed relational for now because we just don't have support for that just yet. Actually, just a tiny fix to the spelling. So we just commit that as well, just to get it out of the way. And this one can stay. Okay, so this is now going to compile away, and hopefully that will be the end of that. Well, not quite the end of that, to be fair, because the problem we have is that we use ODB 2.5, I believe, and vcpkg only has ODB 2.4. So we are carrying some patches to ODB, to vcpkg, as you can see here. Now this is a patch to Boost, which we've already applied. But the more important ones are these ones here. So these are all patches to ODB, so that we can build the latest ODB. Or the more recent ODB, I guess. We'll have to repatch vcpkg after this. So we can build the relational model. But first we just build without relational, make sure the tests pass. Once we're happy with that, then we take on the next challenge. It's always best to confuse one problem at a time, as Richie would tell us. I think also that one problem we're having at present is for some unknown reason we seem to be struggling to build on Windows. Shouldn't really be any reason for that, but we are failing. So failing on Clang CL, release, which is our main build, so no Windows binaries, and we're failing on MSVC debug. So it's a bit of strange, the failures really. And what's more puzzling is that we don't really understand what the actual error is, because it's not clear really what's going on here. In fact, it's very unclear what the failure is. So we created the MSI, so that's a good thing. But there was an error of some kind. It's not obvious what the error is. This is one thing I really dislike about these CI services, is that it's really difficult to understand failures. Let's just grab for error, I guess. Perhaps we should just open this in Emacs, I think. Log 13. Okay, the compilation is finished. Let's just run all tests. So we are picking up a lot of new versions of everything here, so it's possible that something is broken now. So just wait a little bit, make sure. Interestingly enough, our Dogen version seems to be 1.30. Okay, we have Dogen installed. This is not good. So let's install. Okay, that's great. So what we'll do is, yeah, we'll have to uninstall Dogen. I'll do that in a minute. Because it's picking up system Dogen, we don't really want that to be the case. But anyway, what we really wanted to, we've done, which is we managed to get Dogen to build with the latest boosts and the latest everything. And that was fairly painless, there's no big problems here. That makes me very happy. Now, the second part of this exercise is then to try to get the relational model to build. So now this is where we get into the world of patching vcpkg. Slightly a world of pain, if I'm honest. So what we'll probably do is we'll first check in the patch to boost. And then, we are on the MASD branch, so that's good. And secondly, we will very slowly and methodically start going through the ODB. Right, so first one is libODB boost. To be fair, we probably should start with libODB. So the first change we have here is in the CMake lists. Right, this patch doesn't apply cleanly, so we're just going to do it manually. Not even sure if you still need this mumbo jumbo about glibc. Let's just ignore it for now, but we'll take the rest of the changes. So we'll say it's 2.5, and then we'll say that CMake standard is 17. So that's that patch. Control is oh, interesting enough, there is no longer a control file. Okay, things have changed. Port file.cmake. Right, so this guy here, well, this is downloading from a tarball. Since it's downloading from a tarball, we probably could just keep the same approach here. And probably should have looked at... Right, if there is a pre-release... of course there isn't 2.5. And they never make things easy for us. Okay, so we can't take the same approach. We have to go back to this crazy Git-based approach. Let's have a look. What's in Git? Even worse. You don't seem to be able to reach because this is Git. There's not a lot happening at the moment in code synthesis, to be honest. In 2019 no less change. But let's just... I hope that they didn't take their Git service down, because this means we can only build ODB now with build 2, which is a bit of a pain. I must say, as much as I like ODB, it is becoming increasingly painful to set it up these days. It used to be so simple. You used to just get the packages from the distribution, but these days they make it really hard to access it. Not entirely sure what happened to their Git. So what we'll do is we'll just do a search, because sometimes it's just the domain name change or something. Okay, yeah, so... Okay, it seems to be alive. In fact, it seems to be very alive, so what's the problem with this? It's ODB, well, I'm not entirely sure why I couldn't find that, but there we go. And we were referring to ODB. Oh, I think there's some kind of reorg going on here. So let's just compare this path to that path we had a second ago. Does not look that different to me. Why is our path failing, I wonder? In fact, they look rather identical. So why is it that we can't access this path? Let's just try to do a git clone from either of these URLs. Just for a laugh. We'll just open up a new shell here. ODE. So if I just go up to development, probably already have something here. Right, so git clone this guy here, and as you can see, it clones just fine. rm-rf. So perhaps all this happening is that the HTTPS is not resolving as it's just using some kind of Git protocol. Yeah, as you can see, it resolves perfectly fine. Okay, let's just not waste too much time with this. Clearly, you can't HTTP browse to it, but the thing is there. So what we'll do then is we'll just have a quick look at what is the latest tag. We had oh, okay, we had SHA. We were on B15, and the latest is B17, it seems, B19. 2 years ago. It's strange. Yeah, perhaps we haven't done this in a while. So I guess we should just take B19, shouldn't we, really? Seems that be the latest and greatest. Right, fine. So B19 is the latest and greatest. We're going to have problems with the SHA key and so on, but that's not a big thing. So let's go back to our port file, and we'll apply this patch. So the first thing is we need vcpkg from Git. Now I don't really know if vcpkg has changed, so before we just do that blindly, let's have a quick rg at ports. And okay, so it seems like vcpkg and GitHub is still supported, and it seems like the format is not that different from back in the day. So we will just go back to our diff, and just very patiently right, so vcpkg from Git. I think actually I'm just going to copy all of this and see what we got. So outsource path, source path, that hasn't changed. The ref, I think we need to change the ref. So if I'm right, the ref should match somehow the commit. So that's B15. That's interesting. This ref does not match that ref you see here. C2. Oh, okay, so the SHA 512. I wonder what the ref means then. So that's 8.6. Don't see any 8.6s around here. Okay, so it's not clear to me what this ref here means. But this seems to be the SHA of this guy here. In fact, it's not even that, because this ends with FF. So that's probably the SHA key of the file as it comes in. So it's a bit puzzling what we mean by the ref here. not the commit. Well, let's just do a quick search here. Nothing obvious. And if I say search by range. Ah, interesting. It's found something. Let's say, can we search by commit? No. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what this SHA refers to. You would have thought it'd be the tag. That would be the most obvious thing. But clearly it's not. It could be the commit at the tag, but well, actually, one thing we can do very simply is to say, what happens if I put that ID here? Will that take us somewhere sensible? Seems to be taking us here. Oh, that's very interesting, isn't it? That seems to be taking us to the tag, although the tag SHA. Right, okay, right, I think I know what's going on here. The SHA of the tag is not the same thing as the commit SHA. So let's just look at the refs of the tag and look at the short. So we are looking for 864. Now, it's definitely not this guy, as you can see there. So I don't quite understand why it is that when I put that reference, it also takes me here. It's almost like there's an alias for the SHA or the tag. Oh, I have to keep an eye on the time. Half an hour. So, okay, not entirely sure what's going on, but nonetheless, we should really, to cut a long story short, we should really be seeing the SHA key of the commit of the tag. In this particular case, this C2 guy. This should really be what vcpkg should be referring to. However, we're not seeing that, which is a bit puzzling. And whatever it is that we're seeing seems to somehow be linked back to the tag by some magic that I don't fully understand. Okay, wait up, 1 second. Let's click on the tag itself. Bingo. And there you are. Okay, cool, that's exactly what we wanted. This here is the SHA of the tag. So this makes perfect sense. It may sound a bit confusing, but in Git, the tag is one object, and that object points to a commit. So what you can see here is that the tag, is this guy here, is pointing to this commit. All this time we've been looking at the commit, not the tag. So that's fine. That explains what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to look at the tag, get the tag's SHA, and then replace the ref there. Now this SHA is the SHA of the downloaded file, so we'll leave it like that and let vcpkg break, because that's fine. I will just close the bracket here. So this is fine. So this will download from Git. Now I don't think we need extract, because we're not really extracting anything. So this is just going to get, and then we don't need the dist file because we're not obviously getting the dist file. Right, cool, this should be it. And with that we've applied this guy here, and then apparently we also have 2.5 here. Now this was a bit long, but hopefully this is the most complicated one. And these are the two URLs we just put in for no reason. Let's have a quick look at the diff, make sure we didn't do anything silly here. Yeah, there's an extra space here, don't need this diff. It's good not to have spurious diffs, because then when time comes to merge, it just makes our life slightly easier. Okay, cool, so that's it. we have now updated vcpkg to obtain ODB from Git. And what we'll do is we will go back to our stash. Right, we also need libpq. I'm not sure why we have this patch on libpq. I'm going to ignore it. Sometimes it's good to try things again, see what errors come through, and then we'll discuss whether we need that patch or not. So we don't need control, that is done. We don't want to touch PQ. Right, so now then, that's done. We will just start in order to do the individual components. So we start with boost. In the CMake list, we just need, again, we're not going to take the ABI. This was done quite a few years ago, so it's likely it's no longer needed. So project, and then add definitions. Set CMake, find package. Find package 2.5. Cool, that seems to be it. Interesting. Should we require boost? Which packages? Well, I don't know what these chaps are talking about, so apparently we don't have a control file anymore, so no need for that. And then the port file, we're just going to have to go through the same pane again. So largely we need this guy, and largely we will replace this guy. So what we'll do is, again, we're not going to care about the SHA key too much, but we do care about the refs. So again, let's go back to here. Let's locate, so we're in libodb, we need libodb-boost. We locate the 19 tag, again, make sure we get the ref from the tag itself. We won't touch the SHA, we don't need to extract, and that is it. That's boost done. No other changes to boost. Let's just have a quick look at the new, okay, right, so the control file now became a JSON file. So let's just go back to libodb and look for that JSON file. And there we are. Fourth version, okay, fine, we're not going to touch that. So boost is done. We don't really use MySQL, but I think for completeness, kind of makes sense. So again, MySQL, we seem to have removed some exports, interestingly enough, but ignore that for now. So this guy bumps to 2.5. Interesting. So I think we may have made a mistake there. We forgot in boost to update the yeah, so this guy here should have been 2.5. Now let's just do a quick search for 2.4s. Okay, that's about it. So MySQL we were doing. So 2.5, 2.5, that is about that. So then we have these exports that for whatever reason, oh no, that's fine, it's just a new line there. Okay, cool. Control doesn't exist anymore, so what we'll do is we'll just update vcpkg instead. And the port file we've done. Okay, so I think MySQL is done. Let's go to Postgres. Similarly, just a whole lot of 2.5s, presumably 17 standard. After project, and that's that, and then 2.5. So we are nearing 40 minutes, so I think hopefully we'll be able to build at least ODB. And then interestingly enough, we seem to have a whole load of options here. Now I don't know why we did that. again, what we're going to do is we just going to ignore that for now. The reason why we're going to ignore that is that I can't remember why I did that. I'm sure there was a good reason, but I can't remember why. And so, in case it's no longer needed, I'm sure it is, but in case it's no longer needed, what we'll do is we'll just build without it first. Let it break, and then one thing I don't remember doing is I don't remember getting the tag for MySQL. Let's have a look. I do not remember doing the tag for MySQL, so presumably this probably was not done. Yeah, okay, so we didn't really do the tag for MySQL. Right, so let's just go back to the port file. And it should be as simple as grabbing these guys, updating the ref, and as you can see there, incorrect hash. Well, to be fair, I think I'm just going to put all of them as incorrect hash, and look at this as well. We'll apply some patches after. Excuse me. I'm not really sure. So we don't really use MySQL, so I'm not really sure really what to do with this. I'm just going to comment this. Not clear to me. This is probably why we still have incorrect hashes, because we never really bothered even installing MySQL. So there you go. Postgres. Yeah, I think for good measure we just call this incorrect hash. You'll see in a second why it's good to call it incorrect hash, because it becomes very obvious where incorrect hash is coming. And SQLite, well, to be fair, we don't use it either, but we will want to use SQLite in the near future. So slightly more useful. I mean, I don't have anything against MySQL, it's just that I by default tend to use Postgres, quite like Postgres. So okay, cool, that's that guy, and the port file. So as you can see, this is not a particularly exciting exercise, but again, you see we've got these options files here, which I'm sure are going to be required at some points. Here we just put our incorrect hash, and if we just look at SQLite, we will also find the 19, let's add ref, and away we go. And now just need to update these guys here to 2.5. Okay, I think we've done most of the work now. I just want to double check there isn't any module that we're missing. And if we just look at the diffs, we should see a pattern. 2.5, the hashes, and the JSON. So 2.5s, interestingly enough, we have this public. Just gonna drop some of these changes because this increases the diff for no reason. In fact, to be honest, let's just restart this again. I just want to make sure we're not actually adding diffs that are not required. So that's a good. There's a space there was no need for. It's fine. Okay, again, we seem to be adding some spurious diffs here. It just makes our patch smaller, which means that we'll have more of a chance of having no conflicts next time round. And the more we change, the more complicated. As you can see, that patch doesn't apply cleanly anymore. way of manually applying the patch. It's a bit painful. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy with this. So now what we're going to do now is we're not going to commit just yet. We're just going to go back to our vcpackage shell, and we're going to try to call. Hopefully we'll have a vcpackage around here somewhere. Vcpackage install. Now we will attempt to install these libraries. So let's start with libodb. Well, in fact, to be honest, we might just try them all in one go. Because I think we didn't never bother with MySQL. Right, so this will test what we just did up to now. Hopefully we will see a whole lot of errors to do with SHA keys, but everything else should be okay. So you see there the PQ got picked up. Ah, interesting. Looks like we don't use the SHA anymore. Yes, it seems like the SHA is no longer required. Right, so what we'll do then is we will update. Let's just update these guys, remove the SHA, just take away that warning, I think. So these guys here. These guys don't. Ah, interesting. So the patches. Right, what we'll do is we'll, for a laugh, we will just copy these patches as is. I wasn't aware you could just apply the patches here, but seems like we can. So suspect. I mean, really, ideally, what we should do is we should submit this to vcpackage so that we stop having to maintain our port, our fork. But I'm not sure if this is of interest to the community or not. I mean, you would have thought so. I'm not sure if people are still using ODB 2.4, but the key reason is that if you want to move to C++ 17, you definitely need ODB latest. So. Right, that looks good. So what we'll do as well for good measure is we will remove all of this nonsense here as well, now that we've got the patches there. Okay, so this all looks very sensible. Right, some errors. No problems, let's have a look at the errors then. But first I think we should just remove these guys and then install them again. Just so we take away those warnings to the SHA. And now, let's have a look at this. So it's getting the latest CMake, trying to build PGSQL. And it seems to have failed for some reason. Not sure why Emacs is not finding this file. Yeah, so interesting. So I think we must have made a mistake somewhere in we must have made a mistake where we made a reference to the version of ODB. Which version was this? This was building Postgres, I believe. Ah, okay. Now you can see the options. Right, okay, cool. So now we see two problems here. The first problem is we have an incompatible version of ODB, and the second problem is we're missing the options files, okay? So, no problem. So now, let's solve this one problem at a time. The first problem, I believe, is we somehow must have made a mistake in Postgres referring to the version of ODB. ODB 2.5, so that looks fine. Let's double check that our version of ODB 2.5 is doing the right thing. Reference 2.4, vcpkg 2.5, quick grep 2.4, let's try again, and then we go to Postgres, do another quick grep for 2.4, oh no, it's just the ref, that's fine. So that all looks perfectly fine. Not sure why we're finding the wrong version of ODB, but let's perhaps try to solve the issue that we can solve, which is on our stash. We have these option files here, and I think these option files don't have any references to anything, so I don't know why we need to put this, but anyway, I wonder if we can just apply. I'm not sure if it's possible to just apply, but look at that. And then we need to update the port file to copy the option files. So in the port file, just after this copying, I mean we could probably just merge without copying, but there we are, we follow the pattern. So that is that options file, and while we're there we will similarly add SQLite options file. We'll take the copy, probably identical to the other copy, but there you are. There you are, and if we just put it here, and that will do it nicely. Right, so this solves one problem, sadly not both. Now what we need to understand is, why is it that we are referring to the incompatible ODB version we found? So let's just double check that we let's just quickly go up to Synaptic. What we'll do is in Synaptic, let's have a quick look if there's, in fact I wanted to install something else a second ago as well, so I forgot about. But anyway, let's just double check that we don't have ODB installed. Sometimes we get this system in a tangle because we have a version of ODB installed already, so that looks right. Let's leave Synaptic somewhere out of the way for the moment. So some problem here with state, really. We seem to have an old version of ODB installed, and it's being picked up. So what we'll do is, for this sort of situations, the best thing to do is to just forget a little bit about what's going on here, and actually look at the source code. So I would have thought this guy here, libodb, would have somewhere some includes. And these includes will have a version. Right, there we are, there's a version here. This version we expect to be B19 somewhere. Right, so as you can see here, quite clearly, we're on B19. So now, all we need to do is to double check on my build trees that Postgres ODB is will also have a version. And we just have to make sure. Now you see the problem here. So here we have a B15. Okay, so this is not a problem. So what we'll do is, what must have happened is that somehow we must have forgotten to update the version of Postgres at one point during this process. And then the download was made, and now we have the wrong version of 2.5. So in order to solve this problem, the first thing we'll do is make sure that we are definitely downloading the right version by looking at the ref of Postgres. It's good that ODB is so strict with this. Right, so you can see this is the wrong ref. Right, that's fine, no problems. And then, all we need to do is to go to the build trees. For good measure, what we'll do is we'll start from scratch. I mean, we don't need to, but as a C++ developer, I think one thing you'll learn very quickly is my Emacs is actually copying to trash at the moment, which slows everything down. I need to actually change this option to really delete. But as I was saying, one thing you learn as a C++ developer is that you should try as hard as you can to start from a clean slate, because it's very easy to make a tiny little mistake somewhere, and then because of that, then you spend hours on end trying to understand why things are not working. And that could take you a very, very long time. So that was a bit too quick for my liking. Some caching is still kicking in. Okay, that's interesting. It seems that our little patch with options didn't work, so could be the location of the options file has changed. Oh, we seem to have lost all of our options. Interesting. Let's try again. Where's our stash? I'm not sure what happened here, because I thought we had... Right, so let's just review our steps again. I thought we had updated... Right, let's try again. So we applied... okay, well, okay, oh good lord. Okay, right, so if you look very, very carefully, you can see we have two different branches here. We just applied the patch to master. That's not what we meant to do at all. Postgres. Right, so this is easy to fix, but again, as I just said a second ago, key thing about developing with C++ is that you really have to be paying, in Git and things like that, is you really have to be paying attention to what you're doing. Sadly, it's not a very forgiving environment, and particularly difficult if you're doing it while trying to talk, as we are at the moment. So all that happened is because we always have two branches checked out, we updated the wrong branch, updated master, which we never touch, instead of updating MASD, which is the branch we always do the work in. So that's an easy thing to change. And so what we'll do is no, not compress. Copy. Right, so what we'll do is we will just make sure everything is being copied across the master. sounds about right. And we'll go back to master, stage everything, and then create another stash here. We'll get rid of all the stashes in a second. And so we give names fairly obvious. Now it's very likely that we'd have a problem still because oh, okay, it seems like it's clever enough to detect the change in the target. I was thinking that it was going to give us an error, but there you go. So probably an hour into it, I suspect, yeah, an hour. So I think we'll consider this a success once we manage to install all of the ODB dependencies. And there you are. So with this we got ODB 2.5 installed. What we'll do, a good measure, do a commit here. So lib ODB update to version 2.5 B19. Right, so this is very good. It means our MASD is now up to date to latest and greatest. Now, what we want to do is we want to go back to Dogen, and as you can see here, we have relational support disabled, so we will enable it again. Now, let's try to understand. So if I just say relational, I think if we just try to rebuild, so find SQLite 3. Okay, interesting. We are running with the latest CMake. Yep, that's correct. Okay, not entirely sure why we're looking for a CMake module that does not exist, but see if we... No, we don't have a local copy of this module. Not entirely sure. Let's just have a quick look at SQL. Right, so this guy here is looking for relational stuff, and then we explicitly look for SQLite 3. I'm not sure why we're looking for it explicitly, to be honest. For a laugh, let's just comment these guys out. I mean, it is a dependency of okay, so as you can see here, we seem to require SQLite in order to be able to link. But what I fail to understand is why are we not using the VC package? So let's just go back to VC package again and the shell. I'm pretty sure that SQLite was installed in VC package. There you are, SQLite 3. So for a laugh, let's just install SQLite 3. Okay, seems like something happened here. Something to do with SQLite, so clearly the SQLite people are probably not happy that VC package is calling SQLite. So now I'm not entirely sure what we're supposed to do with SQLite. So as you can see here, everything's changed. Not obvious what we need to do. Yeah, so you can see there's lots of very interesting things happening here. We're requiring SQLite there, then requiring SQLite again. this clearly is not exactly the most stable Dogen code. It is very strange that we are requiring ODB components libodb boost physical SQL. Okay, so this is probably some internal reference to the different libraries within ODB. Now, this is okay. Problem is, of course, all the linking is going to be wrong, but that's fine. And I'm not sure what found is going to be. Right, so what we'll do instead is we'll ignore these guys here. And now we will look for any references to SQLite. So if I just look at my grep, we don't have a grep slot. 9 perhaps? 10, no. Everything's been taken. So we haven't got a grep. But anyway, we can easily grab from here. If I go to projects and grep for SQLite, right, more than I expected, if I'm honest. Much more than I expected. Is there any CMake lists? Ah, there is one CMake lists in relational. That's more what I expected. This is generated code, so we just have to be careful with this. Right, let's just try to recompile. Not quite sure what this is going to do, to be honest. The first thing is, did we find a relational? Can't really see any references to relational here, so that's worrying. We forgot also to update that vcpkg file that we changed. Solve that in a minute. No references to SQLite. Right, okay, let's import this build. I'm not quite happy with this. I would like a build that tells me the status. Right, so as I said, probably should not rm from Emacs, so let's just open up a regular shell. It's just that Emacs, for whatever reason at the moment, is putting things in the trash, which makes things a bit slow. Oh, it's not for whatever reason, it's because I've enabled that in my options, and I shouldn't have. Right, so relational, no. SQLite, ODB. So I found all the ODB libraries, just not the compiler. Okay, that's alright. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Let's just see what we get to our build. Presumably we'd expect, if we go back to our CMake file, I'll leave the compilation here, but if we go back to our CMake file, one would expect with relation support is on, and of course we already seen relation support. I mean, clearly we should probably say relational support is enabled. Or even requested, because we don't know if you're going to be able to enable it or not. And then we just do the rest. Now what I find interesting is we're not linking explicitly against SQLite, so I think this is going to fail to link really, or at least it should, because we would expect it to have seen some line somewhere with this. Because otherwise you're not linking against SQLite, and I think similarly with PG PQ, I think yeah, again I think somewhere we are going to fail because we are not linking against any of these libraries. I think that's a problem. However, not clear to me where that should go. Presumably on the main, so presumably here we must have somewhere. Here we are. So yes, now you can see what's happening here. So around here somewhere there's going to be a big if related to relational, presumably. There isn't. Interesting. We have an if related to MSVC, but clearly the problem is going to be in the second when you try to build a code generator and the code generator is missing the libraries for the relational support, including the ODB libraries. This should cause a problem. Now of course you could probably say, well, why is the relational model not handling that? Which is a fair comment. So we'll have a look at the relational model. Right, so we have no clear mention of any of those dependencies. These are all targets to run ODB. Yeah, I'm not very puzzled at the moment actually. I'm not entirely sure how this would work. We're not linking to any of the libraries that we expect to be linking. So to me, this should fail in theory. It should fail to link. Because we need SQLite and we need libpq. Of course, because we are using old style CMake linkage, it is entirely possible this is working by luck. It could just be that we are making some kind of weird global reference and everyone is linking against a set of libraries. Because if you look at the change we just made a second ago for, here we are, this is changing the global include directories in the global libs. Which is not very nice, but that's the old way of doing things. And you can see here, yeah, I think, oh, here we are. Errors already started. Right, so we have a few problems. So problem is we probably need to regenerate. Okay, I now understand. So we have several problems really. The first problem is we need to regenerate all of our files because I bet you they were generated with B15 exactly, and we're now using B19. We could have had an easier time by just using B15 really, but there you go, we've done that. So we now need to regenerate all these targets. In order to regenerate the targets, we need to find ODB, and the ODB compiler is not found. Now, the reason why the ODB compiler is not found is because we didn't put in the path. So what we'll do is, let's just go up to developments. Let's have a look at what we got here. Excuse me. So this is ODB. But I think we just need, let's go back to master. And just get latest. Look at the oh no, there's a B19 plus one, interestingly. I think we just need to look at tags. Can we just have a list of tags? Wherever changes, I would like just a list of tags. How do you do that in Git? Git list tags. LO. There we go. So B19, this is the guy. Right, so we want to somehow check out this tag. So if I just say B branch B19, now we're in the right branch. Okay, cool. And then if I go to the shell, now I don't really remember how to build ODB, so let's have a quick look at Oregano local. Yeah, we do have a version of ODB here. What version is this, I wonder? Okay, so right, so what we'll do is for good measure, make sure that this is available in the path. Ah, that's interesting. I would have thought that the libraries would be here. So export LD library path, local ODB lib. That looks sensible. And it can't find precisely the directory that we just seen. Having a good day today, really. LD library path, local ODB lib. That looks sensible. Right, okay, I think we're just running out of time, unfortunately. Just already past an hour and 20 even. Right, so the problem we have now really is we need to rebuild ODB with the right version to match the tag. And in order to do that, we just need to figure out what is the way to build ODB. We just have to remind ourselves. Now, we have a version of ODB installed. I think this is B15, so it will require rebuilding. We also rebuilt ODB at some point using build 2. So I just need to remind myself exactly what we did here. Not sure if we got it from the tag, if we did it from build 2, what exactly happened. So we probably need to clean all of that stuff from the previous version of ODB, install the new version of ODB, rebuild the Dogen supplied files for ODB so that they have the right version, which is B19. And then once we've done that, hopefully we'll be able to build, well, we'll go past this error. It doesn't take us out of the woods completely, because I'm convinced we're going to have a linking error against SQLite and libpq. But that's for another video, I think. Okay, thanks for watching.